Hi folks, this is Dr. Rob CYWES. I am the Carb Addiction Doc. By the way, just before we get into today's video, which I think is a very practical, really cool video from my own life, but hit the subscribe button. What Google and YouTube are doing is they're knocking people off our subscription list. And this is true for other YouTube channels as well. So if you're on a YouTube channel that you subscribe to, just recheck that little button, re-hit that button. I am the Carb Addiction Doc, and today I'm going to give you a little insight. I was doing this myself. We do it about once a month, once every 2 months. And I was doing this and I thought, wow, you know what? Let me share this with folks out there. One of the most valuable items that we have in our home is a simple, cheap vacuum sealer. It's a little machine, and you buy a roll of, it's a thick plastic, and basically what it does is it allows you to melt a strip to suck out all the air and then seal a package of food that you can then freeze. Now, one of the things I love about my migration toward carnivore, and by the way, I've migrated toward carnivore not because it's necessarily healthier or better. It's just simpler and easier, and we enjoy eating that way. But in order to help me with my carb addiction, one of the key things about my carb addiction is I need, for the most part, to be preemptive in my meals. In other words, I've got to look at my meals and plan them ahead of time. Because if I come home and I'm exhausted and I'm hungry and what are we going to eat? Let's just order out. Let's get a Big Mac and fries. Because in the moment, you have the potential to be a victim of your emotions in terms of your food selection rather than your nutritional system. But if you decide last night what you're going to eat tonight, we're eating prime rib tonight, for example. That was decided last night. We have people coming over, we're getting prime rib. So if you are preemptive, you can look forward to and be empowered by that food. However, in order to have that food available, you need to have it available in the fridge, in the freezer. So what we've learned to do, and it's also difficult, especially in these variable times, and now with the war in Ukraine, which might spill over to the rest of the world, hopefully not, with COVID and everything else, sourcing food on a regular basis can be kind of difficult. And if you buy in bulk, one of the best things you can do is we buy in bulk. We'll buy from our local producers, our local general wallet biopsy grocery stores because they're convenient. We buy from Costco, but we also have a few people out there that produce really high-end meat. And some of the time I'm willing to pay for it. Some of the time it's just the price is too high for me. But we will buy grass-fed food if we can, but we order it in bulk. And we'll get a shipment from Colorado. We'll get a shipment from a variety of different folks out there who produce high-end meat. They still leave the fat on. They prepare the meat like we like to have it. I hate the little lamb chop where they've sliced all the fat away and you get this little pathetic lump of meat that is useless to me. I want that big chunk of fat on the side of the lamb chop. My wife buys a big box of bacon every few months. But what you then have to do in order to store it and make it possible for you is when our bulk orders come in, we get out our little vacuum sealer and we make small amounts of food. So one of the things, for example, that I do is I buy 12 pounds of ground beef. And I'll buy the 97% lean for my lean days, and I'll buy the 80-20, the higher fat ones. And then I take chicken livers and I mush it up in my, don't tell my wife, because she hates liver, but she eats it. So we mush it up in our little meatballs, or we mush it up in our hamburgers. They don't even know they're eating it. We take some raw eggs, we throw it in there. We'll throw spices in there. Yeah, we do that. Okay, sometimes we'll even throw some cheese in there. But we make our own hamburgers, and I can become creative about those. But we freeze them, maybe 4 or 5 or 7 hamburgers in a pack, and we freeze them, and we can write on there with a Cokie or a marker, a magic marker, the date and the food. And that food will stay 3 days. I'll even eat it 6 months out. My wife doesn't like that. But because it's vacuum sealed, me and my dog and my son, we love it. Nothing bad has happened. So the 3 things that we have a vacuum sealer that is a wonderful weapon. And yes, you've got to dedicate a bit of time once every few months. But if you've got it in the freezer, then last night, man, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. Let's just take this out for tomorrow night. And we were defrosting a big chunk of meat that's going to be our prime rib that we're going to cook tonight, but we've got a plan for that. Last night we ate shrimp. Well, I've got vacuum sealed shrimp and clams that we could cook up. So we have a variety of different vacuum sealed things. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need a good freezer. And the best freezers are the flat freezers that open up. You can use your regular little freezer, but a good freezer is a very worthwhile investment. And get them where you can, because they're difficult to get hold of. But the third thing, and I learned this lesson very bitterly a few years ago. We live in Florida, and obviously Florida has hurricanes from time to time, and we run out of electricity for a few days at a time. So buy a small generator. Buy a generator, preferably a gasoline generator, not a gas. You know why? Because our neighborhood has got so many generators in it that after a day we ran out of gas in the neighborhood. But whether it's gas, whether it's gasoline, buy a generator so that if your electricity does go down, you can preserve that fridge. We lost a ton of meat a while ago, had to toss it all out because our fridge went out, because the electricity went out. But those three things: vacuum sealer, good freezer, and a creative mind to prepare the food you want to prepare. And it's magic, folks. It's magic to eat in a preemptive way. To decide last night what you were taking out of the freezer tonight, or last night, for tonight's meal. And it just makes the treatment of carbohydrate addiction so much better. Can you freeze vegetables and things? Absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. And I can tell you, fresh vegetables, not that we eat a lot of them, but they're far better to freeze your own fresh vegetables than to buy them in a market. The only difference is this, that most often vegetables that come from far away are picked at exactly the right time and frozen. The vegetables we get on the shelves are often having to be shipped across. They are past their prime, or they have to pick them before their prime, so they don't fill up with all the nutrients that you may want in your vegetables. But I'm not an expert on vegetables because we don't do so much. But folks, simple strategies like that, man, it's empowering. Man, it's empowering. Just a thought, just a trigger, because it's part of emotion management and it's part of preemptive eating, which keeps you safe. I am the Carb Addiction Doc. This is a little practical video from my own life. If you like our content, throw us a buck. Our Patreon account or our PayPal account, Robert at JaxChildren, JaxChildren.com. It's a 501(c)(3). It's a charitable organization that pays for our education material. I don't profit from it at all. And if you want to visit, if you want to consult with us, we are a metabolic practice. We treat patients every day. Send us a text anywhere in the world. You can use WhatsApp. The US code 561-517-0642. Make it happen, folks.